Alright, so something to keep in mind is when you're moving, keep an object, so we know that an object that was in my sight for my southern orientation. There's a tree I could see the whole way. It's a pretty big tree that I've kept in my sights since I oriented myself back at my campsite. So that's the first thing I'm walking towards, and I'm going to keep leapfrogging like that. I'll explain more of this when I go over how to use a basic compass and all that stuff. Okay, so I get to my first object that I feel like would stick out to me. This rock wall. Now, just so I don't get confused and hit this rock wall maybe like 3 miles down and be like, oh, my campsite's right there, I'm gonna look for another feature as well to orient myself back that way, so I know I hit the wall in the right spot if I come back. So it took me 2 minutes to reach this wall, which isn't that far at all. But now I'm going to use, actually, these fallen trees right here. And see how there's another one here that's parallel, it's covered in moss. It's a distinct feature. Everything lines up and it's almost equidistant from that big tree to this little tree to the rock wall. So that's going to be my landmark, my other landmark. Also, I noticed this is the highest vantage point in the area. It all goes downhill from here. So I might draw this hill with the rock wall on the base and then put 2 lines for the sticks just to orient myself. So let me set this thing up. Okay, so on my thing we have our camp, and we're moving in a southerly direction because we already oriented ourselves. So I hit a rock wall. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this rock wall. I don't know how far out I'm going to go with this map, so I'm going to keep it condensed. So I'm going to just draw a few circles, and I'll label it RW, so I know rock wall. And then another feature was a hill, and then the parallel sticks. So I'm drawing my patrol map, and I got my rock wall and everything I just hit. That's where I started. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from my campsite, or where I started, my starting position, to the rock wall. Then I'm going to write in how long it took me. It took me 2 minutes. So my handwriting's sloppy, I know. So that's the first leg of our thing. Okay guys, so I'm at my second stop for my patrol map. Just following south, I hit this trail. Now if you notice, it's pretty wide, pretty distinct, and it goes a north by south direction, or south by north, whatever you want to call it. So this is something big I'm gonna put on my patrol map. I might follow this for a while. So now I take note of how long it took me to get here, which it took me 5 more minutes of walking. So hold on, I'm trying to spin around so I'm not writing upside down for you guys. Alright, so we have our rock wall. So I continue to move in a southerly direction. Alright, so I found a trail. So I'm going to mark this trail like this. You don't have to mark it the way I do. This is just how I do it. And I'm gonna label it a trail so I don't mix it up with a river. So trail. I know my drawing is beautiful. Then I'm gonna put the time limit, which it took me exactly 5 minutes, right next to it. So now I know if I were to turn around and go back to my camp, I'd be heading north, following these landmarks, and it would take me about 7 minutes to reach my camp from here, which isn't far at all. Okay guys, so I'm in the middle of making my patrol map for just heading in a direction just to get my orientation, get myself familiar with the area. I'm scouting, I'm looking at everything. I found another distinct feature, but my trail I found, this way is south, it veers off in a different direction than the way I was oriented. So, knowing that I have my watch, I can easily figure out my direction. Again, I'm actually gonna follow this trail just to see what it leads to. I don't know what my situation could be. You could be in a survival situation. This trail could be signs of humanity. There could be a house back here. This could be a campground. You don't know. So, for simplicity, I'm gonna follow this trail. Now, I have to mark on my patrol map that I'm moving in a different direction, or I'm starting to veer into a different direction. Now, the object I found is this broken tree. It looks like it's been scuffed up pretty good. It might be, it's a little low for deer, but it could be a buck or something. Roughed it up. Something could have just fallen on it. I don't know. It looks natural. It looks like something rubbed up against it. The reason it makes me believe it was a deer is it's scuffed all over where this thing broke too. All this stuff. So he might have been rubbing his antlers up against it and it was too small for him. There's a few more trees like that in the area, so I'm definitely gonna push more towards a buck who came through here. But okay, let me show you how I'm going to orient my map now. So now I'm going to be moving in a southwest direction. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my stick, which is oriented into my southerly travel. Okay? So I'm going to draw the branch with the broken limb coming off of it. And I'm going to label it broken tree. Alright? Now it took me actually 4 minutes to get to this. So now I'm a grand total of 11 minutes away from my base camp where I started, which isn't far at all. But now I'm going to orient myself. So I'm going to be veering off in a southwest direction. So I'm actually going to put an arrow so I know I veered. And I'm going to start drawing my patrol map over here. So I'm following a trail. I'm going to draw the same symbol. And I'm not going to time orient from that arrow to here. So I know these two features are together. There's no time orientation in between them. So now I'm just going to head down this trail and find another time spot. Okay guys, so I've been traveling down this path, reorienting myself every now and then just to make sure, because it is a little windy. For the most part it's straight. It's like a slither through the woods. I've been traveling down it for about 20 minutes now, and the first really distinctive feature other than a tree I found is these rocks. They're in the middle of the path, and if you notice, the path doesn't have any other piles of rocks in it. But this is the next feature I found. So we're gonna go, it's gonna be the last example I show you. Oh, someone's been through here. Oh, actually, I'll just take that with me. I tend to clean up the woods as I walk through it. Alright, so I'm still on a basic southwest direction. So I've gone 20 minutes in this direction. So 20. And I got to a point in a trail, draw it a little wider, that had rocks. So I'm going to write trail rocks. Alright, so now you can see I would have to move in a northeast direction back to my broken tree. Following the trail, if I go back from here, following a trail for about 20 minutes at a northeast direction, that would get me back to the broken tree. Then if I were to follow a northerly direction for about 4 minutes, I'd hit a trail. Okay? Then once I get to that trail, I continue north for 5 more minutes and I'll hit a hill peak that has a rock wall parallel to it with 2 down trees next to it. Now I know I'm only 2 minutes away from my camp, and then I'll walk straight in a north direction and I'll hit my camp. Okay guys, so I'm just gonna follow my map backwards. I didn't go that far out. I'm only about a half hour away from my camp. So I'm just gonna follow it backwards and get back to my camp. Okay guys, so following my patrol map right here and using a watch to orient myself, I followed my patrol map back and we used my watch to make my patrol map in the beginning. I actually made it back to my campsite. If you notice the gear and stuff I brought with me, the compass is where I originally started the video. So I'm just ending in this spot. Okay guys, so today I showed you how to make a patrol map, a basic patrol map, very simple. There's a few different techniques you can do to use this. So I use the orientation with either a compass or my watch if I have it. There's other ways to find direction. I'll be covering a whole thing on that, like a shadow stick and different things like that. But for the most part, that's a good way to go. Try to orient yourself with your watch or a compass if you have it. And then you can make a basic patrol map to get the lay of the land, so you realize, okay, so I was here, oh look, I hit a water source, it's about 30 minutes from my camp. There's different things like that. If you don't have any way of determining your direction or your travel, it could be an overcast day, you can't tell where the sun is exactly. Oh, what the hell is that? So if you don't have any way to actually orient yourself, say it's a heavy overcast day, so you can't see the sun, you don't have a watch, you don't have a compass, you don't have any of that fun stuff. Another way this patrol map can be done is, it's a different way to do it, but it would be a line of sight, necessarily. So I look off as far as I can see, and I'm gonna walk in that direction, and I see, right now I see a giant pine tree that's broken in half. Half of it fell, so it's just a stump coming up about 30-40 feet. It's rotted, it's the only one in the area, so that's my landmark. I'm going to walk to that, I'm going to draw a line in the direction in which I walk, so if it's a straight line this way, I'm going to draw straight down my paper. And if it's over to my left, I'm going to draw an angle from where I started to that. So you're also still going to time it or pace count it, so you know your paces. All things I'll be covering in other videos, but for now, if you're going to practice this, make sure you practice it before you go out camping and be like, oh, well, I have no idea where I am. I'll just make a patrol map. It takes it takes practice to get this down so you understand your own shorthand, because you'll probably change things up a few times. Also, just to get good at using the watch to orient yourself. It's something I learned a long time ago when I first started scouting. I had to be like 12. And it's something I've been using ever since, just to find direction if needed. It's very useful. So before you go out and actually use patrol maps, practice in your yard, practice out in a local park or something, in the woods. Just something you're familiar with, so you get used to it, and then move up to maybe something you're a little, like, edge out a little more, something you're maybe not too familiar with, but you basically know the area. I don't want anybody going out there and trying this for the first time and not being able to get the angle right or all that fun stuff. One last closing thing I wanted to add, I think I forgot to mention it before, I'll probably stick this in right before we head out on our patrol thing, is when you're orienting with your watch, it needs to be in standard time. So if you're in daylight savings or any of that fun stuff, you're going to have to set your watch back. Because this only works with standard time. If you're using daylight savings time, it's going to orient you off a little bit on your direction. So just keep that in mind. Okay guys, so that was the patrol map. That's how to orient yourself with a analog wristwatch. I hope it made sense. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions regarding patrol maps or orientation with a watch, my email will be in the description. Feel free to shoot me an email. Anything like that, I'll get back to you ASAP. I'll try to get back to you within 24 hours. That's my goal. So thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for checking out my channel. And I hope to see you around.